I can't watch most YouTube videos anymore, and I'll tell you why. Because if you're out here right now, actually trying to build something, trying to figure out why nothing is clicking, why you're stuck, why the growth isn't coming, most of what you're going to find is going to send you in the wrong direction. Not slightly wrong, way off. Wrong in a way that costs you months. Wrong in a way that burns you out even before you get any traction. And I know that because I lived it. I didn't read about it. I went through it. The wasted hours turned into years. The strategies that look right on paper went nowhere. So that's what this is going to be about. The real stuff. The obstacles. The mistakes. The things that only make sense once you've hit them. The things that only make sense once you've already hit them face first. Not because I have it all figured out, but because I've been through enough of it to actually have something worth saying. So let's get into it. The thing I want to start with is something I think is holding back a lot of creators right now more than anything else. And that's what I call the hyper-editing epidemic. And it all started with Mr. Beastification of online videos. Now, before you think this is just another Mr. Beast is evil and he has a secret agenda, hear me out, because this isn't really about him. It's about what happened after his success, and more importantly, what it's doing to creators like you who are trying to build something real. Look, I have massive respect for Mr. Beast and what he's built. What he's done is genuinely impressive, starting out as a regular guy from his bedroom and turning it into a multi-million-dollar operation. He brought real money to the space. He showed everyone that this can be a serious business. But here's a problem. Everyone started copying his style without understanding why it actually works for him. Mr. Beast can have editors spend hundreds of hours on a single 10-minute video. And that makes sense because the production matches what's happening on screen. Giant stunts, insane budgets, real stakes. The editing fits the content. That's why it works. But then you've got people doing productivity tips, finance videos, self-improvement content, talking about how to build an audience, and they're editing it the same exact way, 50 jump cuts a minute, zooming into their face every 3 seconds, explosion sounds when they want to make a point, memes every 15 seconds, just to tell me I need to wake up earlier or drink more water. It's honestly exhausting, and it's everywhere now. And here's the thing, it's not even fully Mr. Beast's fault. It's not completely the individual creator either. Part of it, it's the audience. People want dopamine hits, fast cuts, constant stimulation, and creators are just giving people what they want. But that doesn't mean you have to do that. I know this firsthand because I used to run a Roblox meme reaction channel, and I fell into this exact trap. I would spend hours editing those videos, jump cuts everywhere, sound effects, memes, flashing text, zooms, the whole thing. It took like 6 hours to edit a 58 seconds short video. And you know what? It worked. I got views, I got subscribers, but the audience I built was hollow. They didn't care about me. They didn't care what I was actually saying. They didn't even remember the video after watching it. And I remember sitting there genuinely proud of those numbers. Like I thought I was doing it right. I was putting in the hours, learning the craft. But the craft I was learning was how to keep someone's eyes on the screen, not how to actually say something worth listening to. Those are completely different skills. And I didn't figure that out until it was way too late. They just wanted the dopamine hits, the next flashy thing on the screen. And the second I slowed down the editing or tried to have a real conversation with them, they left. Because they were never there for me as a creator. They were there for the stimulation I was giving them. The audience was completely worthless to me. They didn't stay because of my personality. They didn't stay because I was giving them something valuable. They stayed because it was a slot machine pulling their attention. And then I realized I was liquefying their brains. And mine too. Because you're editing like that, you're not creating, you're manufacturing attention traps. That's it. Let me explain what's actually happening when you watch hyper-edited content. Your brain is in constant reaction mode. There's cuts, zooms, memes, sound effects, more cuts. You're not thinking, you're not processing, you're not learning, you're just reacting. Even if the video has genuinely good information in it, even when there's real value being shared, you can't retain it because there's too much happening at once. It's overwhelming, it's overstimulating, and it stops actual learning from taking place. And I have another theory that these kind of contents are really bad for people with ADHD, but that's a conversation for another day. Let me tell you something personal. I still go back to older style creators or videos all the time, not for the nostalgia, not for the background noise. I genuinely seek them out because in those videos, it actually feels human. You feel connected to the person. You walk away feeling like you got something real out of it. That feeling just doesn't exist in hyper-edited videos. And here's what actually concerns me. Not even halfway through one of these hyper-edited content, when watching, your brain shuts down. You're completely zombified. You're sitting there watching that stuff without even realizing it's happening. You didn't choose to zone out. The editing did it to you. And what's worse? It doesn't stop when you close the video. Even after you leave your screen, your brain still feels stuck in that trance. You can't snap out of it. You try to do something and nothing feels easy to focus on because your brain just spent 20 minutes being trained to need constant stimulation just to feel engaged. And now real life feels slow by comparison. These videos are essentially training you to be a zombie. I know how that sounds, but that's what's happening here. You're being conditioned, video by video, to have a shorter attention span, to retain less, to need more just to feel something. And honestly, this is a Terminator scenario, not the robots with guns version, the version where humans just get progressively dumber and more passive until something else takes over by default. AI doesn't need to destroy anyone. It just needs to wait while people finish lobotomizing themselves with this stuff. I had creators I genuinely looked up for years, people whose content actually changed how I thought about things, and I watched them sell out the style. Not because they wanted to, because the algorithm rewarded it, because the views went up, because that's what works. And now I can't watch them anymore. It's not interesting to me. I genuinely don't like it, because it's not them anymore. It's just content optimized for retention. And it's honestly sad because they had something real and they traded it. And I'm not judging them. I get it. This is a business. You've got bills. But there's a difference between making a living and losing whatever made you worth watching in the first place. So what actually happens when you go down the hyper-editing road? You build an audience that doesn't care about you. They care about the stimulation you're providing. The second you slow down, they're gone. You spend 10, 15, 20 hours editing a single video, which means you can't be consistent. You burn out because editing like that is exhausting and soul-crushing. Those who edit videos completely understand what I'm saying right now. You lose sight of what you were actually trying to say because you're too focused on the packaging. And is that really worth it? I'm not saying don't edit. I'm not saying just throw up raw footage and call it a day. I'm saying make every single edit intentional. If a cut doesn't add value, don't make it. If a sound effect doesn't serve the message, don't add it. If a zoom or a meme doesn't make the content better, leave it out. Edit with purpose, not just to keep attention. That's why this channel is set up this way. Me talking over gameplay, no jump cuts every 3 seconds, no explosion sounds, no meme inserts, because I want you to focus on what I'm saying, not on keeping your dopamine receptors firing. I want you to actually listen, to think, and be able to process. Now I know most people open a video like this and go to another tab, let it play in the background, and honestly, that can be fine. If what you're doing is related to what I'm talking about, if you're working on your own stuff while this plays, great. That's the right way to do it. But if you're scrolling Instagram with this on in the background, you're honestly wasting your own time, not mine. Yours. And here's something I need you to sit with. The more you consume, the less you create. And the less you create, the less money you make, the less progress you make, the less fulfillment you have. I was stuck in that loop for a very, very long time. When TikTok was blowing up, I was on the app 8 hours a day. 8 hours, I wasn't building anything. I wasn't creating anything. I was just doom scrolling, reacting, scrolling. Eventually, I got it down to like 4 hours, then to 10 minutes. And thank God I did, because I wasn't getting anything out of it. I still open it every few days. I get my fix. I see what's trending. I get my dopamine. And then I move on to things that actually matter, things that make me money, things that move me towards where I actually want to be. And that shift matters more than any tip or trick anyone's gonna give you. Because here's what I want for you. I want you to be a creator, not just a consumer. Obviously, I make content and I want you to watch it, but only if you're actually getting something real out of it. If it's helping you think differently, if it's relevant to where you're trying to go, great. But if you just want entertainment, there are a million other places for that. and that's fine, no hard feelings. But if you're here, I want you here because you're actually getting something out of it. Let me talk about something I think gets completely glossed over, and that's the difference between content that actually gives you something and content that just feels like it does. Because there's a massive gap between those two things, and most people can't even tell the difference while they're watching. Most hyper-edited self-improvement content is pure entertainment dressed up as value. It feels productive to watch, you feel like you're doing something, but you're not actually retaining anything because your brain is too busy reacting to the cuts and the zooms and the memes to process what's actually being said. That's the problem. These channels aren't trying to help you. They're trying to keep you watching. They don't want you to graduate from their content. They want you stuck in a loop. And you know what's worst part of it? It works. People are stuck in that loop, not happy, not making progress, not building anything, just consuming, endlessly consuming, and then they wonder why they know everything about productivity but can't get anything done. Been there, done that. Look at your feed right now. I guarantee you it's full of this stuff. Title in all caps, shocked face thumbnails, and if you're not careful, you'll click on one, then another, and 2 hours later, you've learned nothing, built nothing, made zero progress on what you actually wanted to do, but you got a lot of dopamine out of it. That's a trap. The platforms want you in it because it keeps you scrolling, but you don't have to stay in it. And if you're a creator, you don't have to contribute to it. Something else I want to get into because I think it's one of the most damaging things new creators believe, and that's the idea that you need to compete on production, that you need to out-edit, out-animate, out-thumbnail people who've been doing this for years and have teams behind them. You don't. You literally cannot win that game right now. And trying to play it is what burns most people out before they ever find their audience. You don't compete with editing, you compete with ideas, with authenticity, with value. That's what makes someone actually come back. Not the zoom effects, not the sound design, the person. And if you're spending 20 hours editing a video, that's 20 hours you're not spending getting better at thinking, at communicating, at figuring out what you actually want to say. The editing is not the work, the thinking is the work. Let me break down how I actually put these videos together. I record the whole thing in one take. I just talk, I script out most of it, but the majority of the points are just my thoughts. Then I go through and cut out the parts that don't add any value, long pauses, off-topic tangents, moments where I lost my chain of thought. I add gameplay in the background, occasional music. That's it. No zooms, no sound effects, no memes. I spend maybe 1 to 2 hours on every 15-20 minute video, and people watch them. People comment. People actually get something from them. Not because of the editing, because the content is actually good. The message is clear. The perspective is real. And that's what actually matters. Will this get you the fastest growth? Probably not. Will it be the most clickable thing on someone's feed? Probably not. But if you show up with something real and you actually have something worth saying, people will see that. People will remember the video. People will actually care about you. And that is worth so much more than viral numbers. And here's something worth paying attention to right now. We're at a turning point. People are getting tired of hyper-edited slop. You're seeing more long-form stuff blow up, more podcasts, more people just talking. Joe Rogan, Lex Friedman, Diary of a CEO. None of that is hyper-edited. They're just conversations. And they're massive because people are craving something real. They're tired of being manipulated by the edits. They want an actual human. So if you're a creator right now, that window is open. You can either chase the algorithm and edit yourself into burnout, or you can build something real. And here's what happens when you optimize everything for the algorithm. You eventually lose yourself. Your content becomes what the algorithm wants, not what you actually want to make. You burn out chasing metrics instead of creating from something you care about. I personally don't look at the view count after I post. I don't stress about the like to dislike ratio, or the comments, or the watch time percentage, because I know my intention. I show up. I say what I actually think. I try and give you something real in every video. What the algorithm or the audience does with that is completely out of my control. I can only control what I put in. I cannot control what comes out, and that's the only thing worth focusing on. Because if you don't approach it that way, you build a hollow audience, just empty shells. People who leave the second the algorithm stops pushing your stuff. You sacrifice long-term brand for short-term views. I've seen so many creators do this. I've done this personally. They start authentic, they blow up, they start optimizing for retention, they lose what made them special, and then they wonder why they're not happy even though they're successful, because success without authenticity is pretty empty. If you're thinking about starting to make videos, here's my actual advice. Don't start by trying to copy whoever is blowing up right now. Start by figuring out what you actually want to say. What unique perspective do you have? What have you actually been through? Then figure out the simplest way to get it across. If you're teaching something, just do a screen share and a voiceover. If you're documenting a journey, vlog it onto your phone. If you're doing commentary, talk over gameplay like I do. Don't overcomplicate it. You don't compete with editing, you compete with ideas and authenticity and value. The most useful thing I've found, and I still do this, is to talk to a younger version of myself. Your younger version was curious about something. They wanted to learn. They wanted to start. Talk to exactly that person. I can talk to my 16-year-old self who wanted to make videos and had absolutely no idea what he was doing, just rambling and posting nonsense. I can even go back to myself a few years ago making content I didn't even care about, brain rot stuff, family-friendly stuff. I was not happy, so why was I doing it? I was chasing something I didn't even value, but that's where the real lessons came from. Building an audience that doesn't care what you have to say, spending hours editing stuff that meant nothing to me, optimizing for metrics on videos I didn't even want to make, all of that taught me something. But you have to go through it to understand it. And look, the bad phase is part of it. You're not going to skip it. Nobody does. You're going to make stuff that isn't good. You're going to post things that get no views. You're going to feel like it's not working for a long time before anything clicks. That's not failure. That's literally just how it goes. The people who make it aren't the one who figured it out right away. They're the ones who kept going long enough for it to start making sense. And the reason most people quit is not because they didn't have the talent or the ideas. It's because they built the wrong kind of thing for the wrong reasons, and eventually they ran out of reasons to keep going. I could even go back to myself 3-4 years ago doing that brain rot family friendly content. Like, I was not happy doing it, so why was I even doing it? I was chasing something I honestly didn't even value. But because of that journey, that's how I learned. That's where the mistakes came from that actually taught me something. And that's what I'm going to be talking about on this channel. The stuff that actually comes from having done it wrong first. And by the way, there are creators doing this right in this exact space. I don't agree with everything they say. I don't have to. I can still admit they're doing it right, and your viewers don't have to agree with everything you say either. You're here to bring perspectives, to make people think. Not everything you say has to be right, not everything I say is right, but it's something to think about. And these are the creators that build real audiences, loyal audiences. People who like the video even before they start to watch the whole thing. People who actually care, not because of production value, because of what they're actually saying. Look, at the end of the day, you have a choice. You can spend 20 hours making a hyper-edited video that builds a shallow audience, or you can spend 2 hours making something honest that builds people who actually give a damn. You can optimize for views, or you can optimize for impact. You can be another faceless content machine, or you can be someone people actually remember. I chose the authenticity route. I chose simplicity, and I'm way happier for it. My videos might not get millions of views, but the people who watch them will actually care. They actually learn something from it. They actually take action, and that's worth more to me than any view count. So if you're building something right now, think about what you're actually doing. Are you building a real brand, or are you chasing dopamine? Are you providing value, or are you manufacturing retention? Are you creating for impact, or just for the views? Those choices are yours. But if you choose authenticity, I think you'll be a lot happier, and you'll build something that actually lasts. Let me know what you think in the comments. If this hits home, or if you think I'm completely off, I want to hear about it. And if you're a creator struggling with any of this, drop it below. Let's talk about it. We'll talk again soon. Peace.